All right, we are live, my friend. Hi, everybody. It's Bob Weathers here at your Vitality Project, and I am honored to be with my dear brother and friend, John Dupuy. John, you have been instrumental, as you know, but maybe they need to be reminded. You've been instrumental in my own recovery. Your work in integral recovery, which we'll be talking about, has absolutely been the mainstay, the foundation of my own recovery. And I've just attempted to pay it forward, my friend, from all that you've given me. John is the CEO, the owner of IAwake Technologies. He'll talk more about that today, too. Our topic is spiritual resources and addiction recovery. And I think John's guitar playing should suffice.
Yeah, right.
He's a magnificent blues guitarist, and I can vouch for that firsthand. I'm delighted to have you with me, Brother John, and just wherever we go today will be a blessing, I'm sure, for me and hopefully for others as well. So that's the topic, John. Any opening parries from your side? Spiritual resources and recovery. What are your thoughts, my friend?
Well, just to let everybody know, I'm in northern Louisiana right now. We're having like the biggest, a winter storm in history. And down south, we're not geared up for this kind of thing. Now, normally I live in southern Utah at 7,000 feet, and we get a storm like this. It's just like, hey, we know what to do. We got the vehicles, we got the clothes, we got our pipes wrapped, the whole thing. But here, so the electricity may go off at any moment. But anyway, that's why I'm all kind of bundled up here. I'm back in my office. It's pretty cold. They've really asked us to tone down, our thermostat, so we don't, so the whole grid doesn't go pooey. So
I feel doubly honored to have you with us, John, and that makes every comment that you make worth gold. I mean, it's already the case, but let's just hang on every sentence. Literally every sentence that comes out of your frozen mouth is valuable. So yeah, I'm glad you're here, brother, and thank you for coming here despite the external environment. That's challenging, that's for sure. Yeah. So amidst all of this, including inclement weather, any thoughts on spirituality vis-a-vis recovery, John?
Well, yeah, you kind of asked me, you posed the question about, how did you say it? Support systems in recovery. What was your language?
I don't know. I'm just anything having to do with spirituality writ large.
Yeah.
I don't know very many people that are as committed to spiritual development and growth as you are, John. And I figure that anything that comes out of your mind and your heart is valuable here. Yep.
Yeah. And now are the people that listen to it, are they intricately informed? They know about the integral map? Okay. Well, a while back, I wrote this book.
Integral recovery.
Yeah. And I've been working I started working in recovery a long time ago. My first job out of grad school was actually as a counselor in a treatment center in the Bay Area. Thunder Road was the name of it. I think still going. It's a pretty reputable, good place where I learned a lot and was working with teenagers and their families. And then my wife and I, we left the Bay Area and we went to southern Utah wilderness because we heard the call of the wild. And so we yandered around in the wilderness and vision quest, and at least I did. And my wife went along for the ride. Had this old beat up pickup truck, 4-wheel drive that we bought. We didn't have a lot of money back then. We're just getting out of grad school and whatnot. And we wandered around until we found there these wilderness programs in southern Utah that were working in the wilderness with young people. And most of the folks were there because of drugs and alcohol, about 85%. And so I started working there, and we loved being in the wilderness, and we already had some background in psychology. And we started that. And then I was given the opportunity to design my own program for adults, people 18 and above, who were suffering with this disease, whatever you want to call it, this syndrome of addiction and alcoholism. And I was designing the whole program. And so I was kind of not thinking that what we were doing was quite sufficient. So, we added in meditation and exercise and 12 steps and sweat lodges, 4 or 5 times during a person's stay. They'd stay there from 8 to 12 weeks, 16 or more. And then we would culminate the experience with a vision quest experience. So, these are, alcoholics and addicts, and some of them were pretty hardcore cases. And by the time they'd spent, a couple of months in the wilderness, they were ready to go out on their own and pray and fast and look for a vision. And so, So anyway, during that period, I kept looking for, a way to make it holistic, to cover maybe some of the bases that 12 steps didn't cover, which, as you know, I have great respect for the tradition, and it saved millions of lives when nobody else was doing anything. AA was always there, and they were doing it for free. And, it's one of the better things that came out of the 20th century. So,
I agree.
big respect. But it wasn't enough, and it didn't work often enough in my experience. So I started trying to put it together. And then I discovered I rediscovered Ken Wilber, and he had this thing called the 𝗦𝗃𝗀 integral map. And I won't get into the whole thing, because even in my my elevator speech, it's still a lot to cover. But so there's these different lenses that you look through, and 𝗦𝗃𝗀 stands for all quadrants, all lines, all levels, all states, and all types. Read the book. But anyway, the first thing is the 4 quadrants, and these are just 4 basic dimensions of human experience that have to be accounted for if you want anything to function. And if you leave anything out, it's just gonna be a good idea that won't work very well. And you can apply this to almost everything that hasn't worked and see why. Oh, it was really good in this one particular quadrant. So quadrant means 4 things. Imagine, a cross. And in the upper, I'm left-handed. My right from my left, I'm always messed up. But in the upper left, I hope I got my right and my left right, is your interior self. Okay, your spirituality, your loves, your hatreds, your desires, your hopes, your dreams, your traumas, all that stuff that's going on inside us all the time. The upper right is your physical body. Okay, the lower left is your relational world, the people, your family, your mates, your friends, your comrades, everybody in that's connected to you or not connected to you, however that's formulated in your life. And then the lower right is just do you have a job? Do you have a house to live? Do you have clothes? You still have electricity in your house, right?
Exactly.
That could go at any moment. So you have to figure out all of these things and get them all fixed, because in the progression of the disease of addiction, all these things get trashed. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough to wake up and go, I can't do this anymore, I'm losing control of my life, and you can stop by your good intentions or goodwill, then you're probably not an addict, right? Because addicts, you can't do it by yourself. You need support. And if you could do it because you just did the logical thing, hey, I was happy and now I lost my wife, I lost my job, I'm losing all my money. Whoa, wait, time out. No, I'm not going to do this anymore. And that's great. And that makes logical sense. And that's absolutely true. But when you lose the power, of course, to make your own decisions, so you're no longer free. And that's kind of isn't that the siren song of addiction? It's like you're getting free, but you're not. You're becoming a slave, and you're losing everything.
That's beautifully said, John. So that's absolutely right. In fact, Dr. Kevin McCauley sees addiction as a disease of choice. Is that we lose the power to choose. And so I don't know what enslavement is if it isn't that,
Yeah, which is horrible. You lose your dignity as a human being. So and just talking about the 4 quadrants, let's go with the upper right. Your body depends what you're using, if it's alcohol or meth or heroin or marijuana. Yes, children, and marijuana can be addicting for some people. There ain't no question about it, But anyway, so I don't want to get in a fight about that. But it does seem to have the quality of addicted up for some people, not everybody. Okay. And compared marijuana to meth, do pot. If you have to, if there's a choice to be made, and you can, the lower depths of hell that you read on, anyway, I don't want to get into that one. But you have to work with your body again. You have to get body, which is stretching and strength training and cardio and all of these good things, that becomes a fundamental part of your life. Because if you're alcoholic or addict, this addiction, this compulsion grows and grows and grows, right? It starts out as a little thing, you go, or you have a drink, and wow, almost every alcoholic can remember that first drink, an immediate sense of liberation. Oh my God, I would say 8 out of 10 would probably could remember that moment. Okay. So this is something that's really been a huge part of your life, okay? And it's been dominating and continues to dominate until it ruins your life or kills you, or, you know, have a life that's not even worth living anymore, even if you're still, you know, your ticker's still ticking and you're still a biologically alive. You know, you've lost your soul to this thing. So you're going to have some pretty cool stuff to take its place, really powerful stuff that's going to be very impactful and strong, okay? If not, the addiction will win. So you need to get your body in shape, and that just needs to be, and in the beginning, when you haven't been, you know, taking care of your body, and of course I've worked with professional athletes who, you know, were addicts also, but I didn't have to convince them that exercise should be a part of it. They already kind of knew that. And it was really a good thing that they could, and it was quite, it made it, in some aspects, we took care of that part right on. So you have to take care of your physical body. Again, you have to get your body back. And in the upper left, oh my gosh, you know, there's so much to be done. There's just, you know, what do they call it? A stinking thinking, you know, all the twisted ideas that you come up about yourself and reality under the influence of these substances that, again, begin to take control of your life. It's really like being possessed by a demon, you know. In the old words, you know, they used to say demon rum and spirits, and you know, it really does seem to, and it seems to have a voice of all its own. Your addict self will just talk to you and justify and tell you and try to say anything it possibly can to keep you to continue to use and abuse and to lie and to betray yourself and betray your values and betray your family and betray your honor, you know, all of that stuff. If you have any of that stuff, you know, it will convince you. So you've got to take care of that. And how do we do that? We do that with, again, practices to strengthen our interior self, meditation. And of course, when I was trying to teach my students meditation in the early days at Passages to Recovery was the name of the program that I designed. I couldn't even stick with meditation myself very well. It was really hard for me. And so I was trying to get these guys to do it, and gals. And it was hard. But then along the way, I discovered brain entrainment technology, which it's audio technology that you listen to with headphones or earbuds, and it entrains your brain to very deep meditative states, like immediately. I mean, in a few minutes, like 8-10 minutes. The data varies, but within 10 minutes. And so instead of taking years and years of going to an ashram or trying to do it on your own, which is, unless you're just superhuman, you can do it, but most of us can't. So when I discovered this, I went, wow, this will help my students have a powerful meditation practice that they can take with them, and they start feeling results almost from day one. Okay. And so I, by the way, I'm not an addict myself. Okay. Substance abuse is not my thing, or not my particular ism or disease, but deep clinical depression was and is. I still you know, I still have that blessing or curse, you know, depends where you are in relationship with it, but it's certainly been my teacher. And when I used to talk to my students, because, you know, back in the day, addicts, you know, if you're not an addict, you haven't been through it yourself, they don't trust you. You know, it's like, who the hell are you? You don't understand us and everything like that. Well, I spent thousands of hours probably listening to addicts tell their stories and going to meetings and sitting around the fire and hearing it and filling myself with their experience. Then I told about the depth of my own depression, which led me to contemplate suicide almost on a daily basis for a long, long time. And usually what they say, okay, all right, you get it. You know what it's like to hate yourself and to hate life, and to get to the point where the idea of death is welcome and not something to be feared, but a cease from suffering that you're in. And that's where addiction will take you also.
Absolutely.
So you have to do practices. Another is, you know, going to group support and speaking. And that's what AA has been so superb at. And that's why this pandemic, as you know, Bob, it's really been so difficult because we've been so bloody isolated. And thank God we have, you know, we have the internet that we can connect and we can do groups and stuff, but that's really hard. And so therapy, meditation, this brain entrainment meditation is really, it does a lot of things that traditional meditation doesn't even do.
Yeah.
Very powerful stuff. And of course, in AA, it says, step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to increase our conscious contact with God, seeking only his will and the power to carry it out. Okay. And I love that. But, you know, in AA, most of us never really developed, you know, a deep, transformative interior prayer life. It was more just like you get up in the morning, Lord, help me to stay sober today, you know, and help me to walk a good way. And at night you say, thank you for one more day. And that's all good. And I really honor, that's a beautiful relationship with God. But for the deep transformative stuff, it has to go deeper and it takes more time. And it's a real interior journey where you confront yourself and you find your demons and you face them and you release it, you know, somatically in your body, not just a head trip. And you break through and you find your higher power, you find God. You know, and or find that ultimate, however you want to name it, you know, spirit, God, the great mystery, Wakantanka, Buddha nature. I don't care, you know, a rose by any other name, right? Still a rose. So that takes just as taking care of your body and being a lifelong athlete, no matter, you know, how gifted or not gifted you are. Physically in your body, but coming up with the best version of your own body. Then again, you need to have interior practices. And maybe I mentioned the group work. I should wait till we get down to the we space. But I'm just talking about the individual work. So it's about meditation. It's about reflection, your prayer. It's about finding what the hell there, you know, putting God to the test. You know, it's like, okay, I had a really bad experience in church growing up, and I think religion really sucks. But I got this disease, and now everybody's saying I got to, you know, find a higher power and all this stuff. And I think you're bullshit, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to shut up and be silent and see what happens. So please, I'm going to need a lot of help. Don't be too subtle, because I'm kind of dunderheaded. These are all my prayers, by the way. You've got to be pretty clear about this, because if it's too subtle, I'll miss it again. So please help me out, and I need you. I need something. I need something deep and big and strong that's more powerful than me and my bullshit. Thank you very much. And that's a good way to begin your meditation and prayer life. So I could go on, but do you want to make any? You want to direct me to where I'm supposed to go, or questions, comments?
I love what you've laid out right now, which is you're including everything. You know, including the body, certainly including the psychological in terms of the emotional domain, and also including spiritual resources in a way. What I love about your broad embrace is that no one's left out, no one's excluded, no matter what your relationship is to what's most valuable, what gives your life most meaning. There's a place for everybody in this. In fact, it's essential in our recovery. I had a thought just in the last minute or two is, next Thursday morning, John, we're going to have your employee and collaborator, Naja Lind, is coming on. She's now joined us twice. She's creating the music for John's binaural beats for the meditation tracks on IAwake Technologies. I put that in the chat box here, but I just love how it is that you're providing resources for people to develop their interior worlds, and doing it in a way that's user friendly. Like you said, I don't have to meditate in a cave up in the high Himalayas or whatever like that. You've made it easy. So I'm just
Southern Utah will work. I
had a flash a minute ago. Absolutely, had a flash a moment ago. I could still remember one of the first AA meeting I went to in recovery myself. I can remember reading, because we read the 12 steps. And I remember I was reading the 11th step, and then it came time for the end of the meeting, and they said, let's have a meditation. And I'll never forget the experience. It was literally something about we clasped hands momentarily, had some kind of drive-by comment, maybe recited the Serenity Prayer. I can't remember, but we were in and out in less than 30 seconds. And I thought, this isn't exactly what I thought meditation was going to constitute. John, you have single-handedly righted that imbalance by providing all kinds of avenues for people to really expand and deepen their meditation. And I'm I'm your biggest fan. So I really recommend for people to go online, look up IAwake Technologies, find out their resources. As I mentioned, next Thursday we'll have 𝗦𝗃𝗃 with us, who is herself deeply committed to interior practice, like you are, John, and a fantastic musical composer. So I just
she's such I adore 𝗦𝗃𝗃. She's such a wise, good woman. She walks her talk. She's done the work. She's just extraordinary.
She's luminous. Yeah,
she's luminous.
Yeah. No, I love this, John, and I think one of the things that happens, and you and I know this from studying 𝗦𝗃𝗶𝗁𝗃, I think I'm so aware of it, having a background in psychology, is that psychologists, when they face addiction and recovery, commit what 𝗦𝗃𝗶𝗁𝗃 calls category error, right and left, where they'll delete the biological domain, don't talk about exercise, don't talk about diet, don't talk about sleep, don't talk about meditation practice and self-regulation. Certainly we'll talk about the psychological domain, sometimes in kind of a tunnel vision way, don't include spiritual resources, and might talk about the relational domain, don't have much to say about your job or your socioeconomic status or your gender or your religion. So it's really quite limited, and we can just go around the quadrants. Is that there's this siloization that is really endemic, and I've seen it, John, not only coming from the side of being in recovery myself and just being kind of a guest, but working the last 10 years in addiction recovery to see how people will kind of locate themselves in one of the quadrants if they're having a good day, and none of the other quadrants matter. And it needs to be addressed. And I feel like that you're an ambassador for addressing the whole enchilada. It's all systems. It's body, mind, spirit, and then some. Yeah, I'm really grateful.
And you think of the 4 quadrants as like legs on a stool or a table. If you have one, it ain't gonna stand up. If you have 2, it ain't gonna work. Got 3. You probably it might, on a good day, if you don't put too much stuff on it. But if you have 4, you have all 4 quadrants, and you take care of your business. And it's a lot of hard work. And in the beginning, it's hard, so you have to be willing to be a beginner and suck at meditation, even with the technology at first. It's just like, what the hell's going on here? And you have to stick with that, because there's a reason. There's a reason to do it, and you have to find that reason. And even whatever the reason is in the beginning, whatever gets you to the show, it's just I can't betray my children one more time. I can't betray my wife. I can't betray myself. I can't betray my God. I just can't do this stuff anymore. So for one day, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, and I got to do that. Okay, now one more day. And then the grittiness, that heroic.
I was just thinking that word. I was just thinking of grit. Your use of the word.
I love grit. It's heroic stick-to-itiveness, but it is also a muscle, and that will grow with exercise. And you can't just, I don't have it. Well, of course you don't. You're all fucked up. You're an addict. You're an alcoholic. Come on, man. You got very little good stuff left. And you have to. Polish it up, and I used to be able to do this, and I got a lot of stuff I never did that I got to start doing. But it starts to be inspirational. You start, wow, there is hope. I can be better.
I've got a group that I co-facilitate 3 days a week at one of the local treatment centers. And there's a lovely woman in the group who just yesterday shared with us that she has 19 months and 17 days of sobriety. And she ends up being just a perfect kind of exhibit A of what happens if you stick with these practices. It can be so encouraging to see that in a month or 2 or 19, I could be that person. I can transform, but it takes commitment to practice. It takes grit, doesn't it?
Yeah. And like grit is like I said, is something, the more you act in a gritty way, and if your bullshit adept self just feels real, this is really fakey. I'm just not a gritty good person and all this stuff. Well, just fake it, dude. Just fake it one day at a time until it starts becoming more part of you, and it starts to feel real again. And doing the right thing feels good, and it has its own reward, and you start finding there's purpose and meaning, and maybe there is a God or a higher power and this and that. And you've experienced that. And there's an interior wisdom and guidance that can be cultivated, and you can find out, you can find your holy grail. You can find what life is all about and what the meaning and purpose is for you. And And often, I mean, the good thing, you know, it's like, what is it? They say in Christian theology, the blessed fall, you know, they talk about Adam and Eve. If it hadn't been for that, they're totally screwing up and doing everything wrong. You know, Jesus would never happen. In other words, the salvation would never happen. And oftentimes it's, you know, I mean, Bob, you know, you had your life together, you know, you weren't just some, you know, you were like this happening professor and you had all this good stuff going on, and then you just fell on your face and it turned you around and made you a real mensch, you know, and made you a better man than you ever dreamed of being, because you were able to, you just, God bless you, but you know, you had the grace and the courage and all of those different things to put it together, but it's hard as hell. So you need support, you need vision, you need purpose.
John, I've shared it with you before in our personal conversations, and I'll share it here. I may have talked about it here before, but I don't have some kind of nostalgia for all the suffering I went through in addiction and early recovery. And I certainly would not wish that on my wife or my daughter or anybody that I love, including you and Pam. I don't wish any of that suffering on anybody.
No.
But having said that, I don't have a longing to be who I was before the addiction and the recovery. And I can say that it doesn't feel like sour grapes to me. One thing, I would never have met you. That's probably true. But besides that, it's like the person that I was before this Felix culpa, this happy fault.
That's what I was trying to say.
Is unrecognizable to me. He wasn't a bad person. I think he was a naive person, ignorant in some ways, hence the addiction and so on. But to have this kind of deepening, this carving out that you've experienced with your depression, I've experienced with my addiction, I wouldn't want it any other way. You and I are relatively the same age, and we're both moving, I think, fully and consciously into our elderhood, into our eldership, or as they say in the Hindu tradition, becoming forest dwellers. I am embracing and loving this. I am so grateful, is that I feel like there's something that's been carved out that's actually of worth that I can offer to the world. And John, you do it too. You've done it with me, and I'm really, really grateful for that. It's an amazing thing to say that, no, I wouldn't go back to that previous self. I don't want that. With all gratitude for all that came with that. It's crazy to say this, but there's actually gratitude. I have to be careful about saying this because we've taken wrongly. I'm grateful for what's been carved out and what was required. You know, I share sometimes, John, including in our conversations, where the poet Rumi says, a prophet's soul is especially afflicted because it has to become so powerful. And I really get that. You are a prophet, John, and anybody that knows you more than 5 minutes knows how deeply afflicted you've experienced the experiences of your life. And look at what's come out of that. It's a pearl. It's an incredible, Rumi calls it a sunrise ruby. Is it a stone, or is it a world of redness? You know, wow. It's beautiful. And I feel the same, John. I feel the same. I'm grateful. This morning in my quiet time, I write this haiku poetry in the mornings at the end of my quiet time. My poem this morning was expressing just deep, deep thanksgiving, radical gratitude for everything that's got me to this day. Who would have thunk it, right?
Yes. And you found your path of service.
Yeah.
And obviously you're in that sweet spot, you know, and it's like you hit that sweet, like you hit that drum, or you hit that cymbal, you hit that guitar chord, and everything just, you know, you got the right instrument at the right time. It resonates out into the universe and just puts sweetness in the universe. And when it comes time to lay your body down, you know, it's like you can ask yourself, is the world a better place because I was here?
Yeah.
You go, well,
It's
I did a lot of dumb things, but probably so, you know?
Yeah. I like what Eckhart Tolle says. He says we're here to evolve this planet, you know, and if we can do it in some small way, what a grace that is. John, we need to wind up in just a moment. I want to bow to you. Thank you for joining me under duress from Monroe, Louisiana, with the power at any moment. God bless you and Pam tonight. I hope that you guys can stay warm and safe. Really appreciate your spirit, brother. It's just you. Speaking of luminous, you shine in the darkness. Thank you, John. Thank you.
And one last thing is friendship.
Yeah.
You know, real friendship. Boy, that can help you get through things that are really hard. And yes, it's been a two-way street, as you well know. So open your heart, to and love your mates, as they say in England, the UK, and you know, down under, and be there for them and let them be there for you. And there's something there that's very powerful that's created.
Much love to you, brother. It's a delight to see you. Speaking of friendship, thank you, brother. May we meet again in this forum, and I'll be seeing you soon in other ways too. Lots of love to you, John. Thanks so much for tonight. God bless you.
Thank you, everybody. Love you guys. Love you, Bob.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.